Welcome back,
Hey,
everyone. Good morning.
Jinx.
Describe your relationship with Jalen as a work in progress. I'm curious, entering your fourth year, how is your relationship with Jalen, and maybe how did last year test you?
Only thing you can judge your relationships on is your personal interactions with people, not any report that comes out. And Jalen and I's relationship is good. It's again, you just can judge it based off of what your personal interactions are. And so when you hear a report like that, you don't put much stock into it because, quite frankly, not everybody sees that. So I'm so excited for him and I to get into our fourth year together. We've done some pretty special things, and I'm really excited for him. He's worked so hard at his game. I'm excited for him to be able to get back out here today and have a good practice today. And just looking forward to continuing to work with him and continue to build on the special things that we've done.
With the change in your role a little bit, how has that changed your relationship with Jalen? You have to work real hard.
You know what? That's a good question because I'm not in that quarterback room all the time anymore. So it's like some of those times you'd have that natural relationship because you're always in there. But what I think's been beneficial for that everybody needs that time with me, not just me being in the quarterback room, me being able to be into the defensive end room, me being able to go into the linebacker room. So naturally, when you're not just with the quarterbacks, you have to carve out a little bit more time to talk to them, that you wouldn't get when you're in there all the time. So yeah, you do that I do that for every position, and now I just have to do that a little bit more with the quarterback position because I'm not in there full time.
To both of you, I guess there was a report about the coordinators and how you involved in the hiring. Nick, you talked about it. Could you guys kind of clarify that process?
I can do it. I feel included a little bit in this. Is this work? Is this
like the
does
draft?
this work? Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I don't think this works.
I think through our process of looking at our first round pick, I feel like myself, our scouts, we had great information on him. Obviously, he went to Toledo. Nick's college roommate is the head coach of Toledo. When Nick came to me and he said, hey, I got this information on cue, it made me feel much better about the selection that we already felt good about. It's the same process for when we do coaches. Nick will come to me and say, these are the guys I'm thinking about. Do you have any relationship? Do you know these guys? Obviously, I've been in the league a long time. I had prior relationships with both of those guys. It makes him feel better about the decision he's making. I mean, these aren't under-the-radar guys. These are talented guys that have been in the league for a long time, and that's how good organizations make decisions. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for the players that I bring in here, draft, free agency, and he's responsible for his coaching staff, but we work together. That's the whole part of being a team.
How is our first time speaking to these performance stat changes? What factor into those, and how's it different without that?
Yeah, I think you're constantly looking at ways to evolve as a staff. You're kind of looking at things that you can do different. And I think from our perspective, we made a bunch of staff changes. I think total 6 people have kind of changed roles. We're excited about that. We wish all the best to the people who left here. And obviously, as we go through the 2024 season starting today, really excited about that. And we'll all be judged on the result.
Nick, what kind of changes should we expect to see out here, whether it's length of practice, physicality, or whatever?
Yeah, obviously this first week is going to be, there's an acclimation period that everybody has to go through, week in, week out, but particularly that first week. You'll see some different things, but again, that's so fluid. Like, you're always constantly, like, to this morning I added 12 plays to practice. I'm like, hey, we felt good yesterday, guys came back in great shape. You know what, I want to work a situational period today that's going to add a couple plays. I want to work a conditioning period today that's going to add a couple plays. But that changes based off of how the day is and how you think the guys are. That's just something that's completely fluid. You'll see a lot of the same things, and there'll be obviously differences. Everything was evaluated last year from last year, and again, don't want to belabor and talk about. We've answered all the questions from last year. We've talked about that, but the things that we learned from every practice length, practice schedule, schemes. Everything's been evaluated, and everything that we felt like needed to be tweaked has been tweaked.
Now, as far as acquisition, I know you're always talking about acquisition period runs up to a trading deadline, and always looking at the roster and ways to improve it.
He's looking at me.
Yeah,
Okay. There
Sunglasses.
yeah. So,
There.
but anyway, when you look at this roster now, how do you evaluate it? Are you happy with it? I mean, do you see any strengths, weaknesses, anything like that you can share?
Probably look at it a little differently. I don't think that I'm ever looking at it kind of in those terms. I feel really excited about the opportunity to evaluate these guys on a daily basis and see where we are as a team, see where we are as a roster. We're going to spend a lot of time making sure that we know every player that's on our 90-man, 91-man roster at this time, and be open to ideas about improving that roster. I think that when you get in a position in this league and you feel good about something, it's a very humbling league, and things happen. So, it's our opportunity to constantly have our eyes open about what we see. The beautiful thing, I said it to a coach this morning, the beautiful thing about it is everyone here is ours, so you're not playing favorites because you've brought everyone in here. At the same token, we have an obligation to put the best team forward, whether that's including the practice squad and the 53-man roster, and we'll never be content. That would be a disservice to our fans, to our players, to our coaches.
Nick, how are you mad at Jalen Hurts expressed dismay in the fact that he's had to change coordinators, offensive schemes on a yearly basis. This past year, obviously, there's been a change. Even in this last offseason, he said he wished he had coaching consistency, such as maybe a Jeff Stoutland at the offensive line. There seems to be a discrepancy between what he thinks is going to be 95% changing in the offense versus what you have said. How much more does he have to learn this offseason?
We're all in a work in progress as far as learning different things on our offense, on our defense, on our special teams, things we're doing, situational football. Obviously everything we do as far as, changes we make in the staff, changes we make to, your offense or your defense is all for what we believe is good for the team and will help us. Even staffs that have, the same play caller, they tweak things year in, year out, right? Because if you stay still in this league will catch up to you quickly. And so, as far as the percentage or anything like that, we are working to do what we do best. So, like I said, there's things that, there are things that we've done well in the past that we'll continue to do. There's things that are going to be new tweaks and new things completely. And like I said to you guys, I think I said this after, as far as a play may look exactly the same on tape, right? You may say, okay, I'm looking at this play. Oh, I saw them run that play a bunch last year, and they ran it a bunch this time. But sometimes you're coaching it a little bit differently, and that's evolving as an offense. That's that happens even when you have the same a similar staff, similar staff. But there are people that are same on the staff, right? The tight end coach is the same. The running back coach is the same. The assistant head coach, who's Kevin Patullo, is the same. Right, the wide receiver coach is the same. The offensive line coach is the same. TJ has moved up in his role to assistant offensive line coach. So there are a lot of similarities in coaching styles and coaching staff, and some of the things that we're doing with little tweaks here and there.
I would also say, and this isn't related to Jalen, the hardest part about continuity in the NFL from front office, from a coaching staff, is that you win, you lose people. You lose people. And so it's really hard to keep a lot of good people in place for a long period of time. This is nothing about Jalen, but just in general. So, it's just probably a little bit different than other industries where it's hard to do that. And, of course, I'm sitting here. And
what are your thoughts on the Giants' Hard Knocks?
The Giants aren't Hard Knocks? my thoughts. We got to mind our own business. I think we got enough on our plate than worrying about everyone else. And from my perspective, every day I come in here and there's things that we got to do to make sure that we're doing the right thing and we're getting better. And so it's hard for me to really judge what anyone else is doing.
How are you managing having lost Trooper for 3 weeks?
Affect your plans for him? Sorry. How does Cooper DeJean's injury affect your plans for him and set him back at all?
Well, obviously it sets him back, right? To not be out here the first 3 weeks, but we were excited about him when we drafted him. We were excited about the things that he did during OTAs and the off-season work, and we're still excited about him. He's going to have to take his mental. He's going to have to get a lot of mental reps these next couple weeks that he'll be out rehabbing that injury. And he'll do that. I'm confident in the person that he'll do that. He's going to have to work hard at that. And then, make some, and then be able to come back when it's his time to come back, when that injury's healed itself up, and then get those physical reps. I'm really confident that he'll do that, though, because we've spent so much time on the person as well as the player, and excited about that he'll do that, what he needs to do in the classroom.
And I would just add to that. I'm sorry, Coach. I would just say that also, we're bummed. That's our second-round pick. We want to see him out here on the first day. But we also think that this guy's going to be with us for a long time. And so we have tremendous confidence in his ability to pick things up and to come back and kind of keep running. And obviously it's a long season, and we're counting on him.
How do you see guys run big holding out every time? Every summer around this time. Do you look forward to that for the most part? I guess less than half of that under contract. What goes into that? How important is that? And how much, do you spend making sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I think it starts with ownership. I think it starts with Jeffrey's ability to let us sign guys early and to try to get out ahead of things, which we couldn't do without his help and his support. So I think he deserves the credit on this. Listen, again, you're dealing with 91 guys. Like, you're going to have issues. It's not going to be perfect. And I actually thought what Fred Warner said was really freaking unbelievable, where it's like, the better you get, the more of those issues you're going to have. So when you're a good team, people are going to be responsible for making you a good team, and those players are going to want to be compensated that way. Those coaches, the front office personnel, and so I think it's just the nature of a business. I think that obviously, the key for us has been to go to guys early and try to get ahead of those things, but it's not perfect, and I'm sure sitting here we'll have issues going forward, and I think that it's hard to understand, what goes on in those situations from other teams, because we're sitting here with kind of our own issues and our own situations.
As you go into camp here, are you looking at Becton primarily at guard or tackle, and are you looking at Bradford primarily at safety or corner?
Again, versatility is going to be key for guys, and so we'll see as camp goes along, but. Makai's going to have to be able to do both, and James is going to have to be able to do both. And so looking forward to seeing some of that with those guys. And but like I said, that's fluid as it goes on. You'll see some of that out here today.
There's some turnover at the receiver position. How do you feel about that third spot?
Yeah, really excited to get out here and see the candidates that we have. We brought in guys that we think have talent and the ability to contribute for us, but to sit here and say like that's not something we're going to be watching every day and seeing who step up and how the chemistry is with Jalen, it's important, and I think that you look at it throughout the league, that position's an important position. We brought in guys in free agency. We drafted a couple of guys, and I think it's something that we're going to be watching, among other things, daily and see who steps up.
Talk about getting acclimated. When in your mind does the competition at some of these spots really start to heat up and say, oh, we're not getting acclimated?
Well, right away. I mean, everything's being evaluated. Everything they do. The conditioning test was evaluated. The way they came back was evaluated. The way they're going to practice with helmets is going to be evaluated. The way they practice with and the way they walk through is going to be evaluated. So every competition it started in OTAs, and it's going to continue here. Now, this is football. right? And so when those pads come on, it's different, right? And especially for certain positions, it changes completely of when you have the pads on and when you don't have the pads on. So everything's evaluated. Everything competition is being happening. That's a core staple of who we are as a program. Compete, toughness, all those different things, because that's what we base our program on. But naturally, some positions step up even more when the pads come on.
Along those lines, what's the plan for right guard over the next couple of days?
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, don't have to release a depth chart yet. Don't have to say what our plans are, just like we don't have to say what our plans are for our end-of-game defense. That would be something that we are continuing to work through. Obviously, we'll see as we go, and looking forward to today. And Tyler will start out there at the right guard position today as we start. But we'll see how that goes.
Nick, you talked about that 30,000-foot view you have now, and I know you're constantly evaluating things, but it is a little bit of a different role. Did you come into this day one with one or two different things that say, hey, now I can do this a little bit more, now I can focus?
Obviously, the way you come out here and I'm going to be coaching guys up, right? And that's what's fun. You're going to be able to go but I feel like I've been doing that since, even though I was only with the offense, or I wouldn't say only with the offense, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to getting out here and coaching guys up. And it doesn't matter what position, whether it's, Paris Campbell, or whether it's Rick Lovato, or, I don't have a ton of great coaching points for the long snapper. That's not my expertise.
Who walks by next will be the next name called out.
Or whoever it is. But, I'm just looking forward to getting back out there, coaching guys up, and then getting in the film room and kind of living out our core values.
Is it difficult to kind of just explain it and teach it to 90 guys? What's the process been like figuring out snaps and practicing?
Obviously we've spent a lot of time on that, and really going to keep that close to the vest, obviously, because that's new for everybody. Everyone essentially is year one coordinator for the new kickoff and the kickoff return. And so we'll keep a lot of that close to the vest, but I'm really confident in our special teams coaches. We've continually gotten better at special teams throughout these past 3 years. Michael Clay deserves a ton of credit. He's done an unbelievable job. He's a great young coach who works daily to try to get better. The guys love Coach Clay. The players that play for him play their butts off for him. And that's just a testament to him, Coach Panunzio, Coach Tyler Brown, Coach Seeley, and just the guys that have been here helping us, continuing to improve. But looking forward to the new challenge of that element of the game, because it's going to be new for everybody, but we'll keep a lot of that close to the vest as we go.
For so long, you guys have rotated a lot along the defensive line. Vic's history seems to be to lean a little bit more heavily on his top guys. How do you find common ground?
Yeah, first I'd like to give Coach a lot of credit for incorporating crowd noise into our press conferences this year for our players.
Got to be able to focus in stressful times.
I think obviously you have to adjust to whoever the coordinator is and what they do. In a lot of ways, it's exciting, to see what our guys can do. We have a lot of young players, certainly in the interior of our defensive line, that should be able to play maybe a little bit higher percentage of the snaps. But you still need guys rotating. You still need good players. I think it's always been important to us to have a lot of defensive linemen who can play at a high level through the course of the year and that can come in and rotate. That's not going to change. Will look exactly the same, where maybe, you're taking a number that's 55 or 60 and now you're at 65 or 70. Probably not. I think also that's why the conditioning is so important. That's why our players coming into camp into great shape, knowing that they're going to play more. And I think it's all going to be player dependent, on how they're playing. But it's something that's probably a little bit different, but not significantly different.
And Vic Fangio hasn't been, just adding to what Howie said, Vic Fangio has been a great coordinator in this league. And we're not talking 10 years, 20 years. We're talking 3 decades worth of being an unbelievable coach. And so you don't do that unless you adapt to the players that you have, and you adapt your schemes, you adapt to your surroundings, you adapt to the way the game's changing. and we feel good about we feel good about our depth. I know Vic feels good about our depth, and looking forward to guys like Marlin and Morrow. Those guys continuing to develop and play a good role. Those guys, particularly those two guys, have shown toughness. They've shown their hard work throughout the offseason. They came back in great shape, and I'm looking forward to seeing those guys go out there and practice and having good camps.
And one of the things, Bo, too, I think, for us, we've been very fortunate here where we've really given our young players kind of the ability to kind of develop and not play as much. I'm really excited to see the opportunity for those guys going forward because of where we are. Obviously, we have a lot of high-paid players here. There's great opportunity for young players for us going forward, and I think we have the right players here. That's one of the exciting things about this camp is seeing these young players get an opportunity to carve out a role, how significant that role is. Because I think, you look at our sport, you look at a lot of different sports, and there are opportunities for young players to develop, and you don't really know how they're going to develop and how they're going to play until they get the opportunity. And because of the teams we've had in the past couple of years, which has obviously been good, some of those young players haven't had as big a role. So I'm really excited about that and watching that. Obviously, I'm biased. We brought those guys here, but it'll be fun to watch.
Time for a couple more. With in terms of the secondary, last year lots of injuries. How much more prepared is this secondary for this season? And in relation to how Vic uses that, is it also equipped for his system?
Well, we'll see. Obviously we got to go with what we see here going forward. We brought in a lot of new people into our secondary. We thought it was an area that we had to address. I'm really excited again to see those guys go out and play. I think, I didn't do a good enough job last year fortifying the secondary, and it showed with our depth. Our best teams have had our best depth with our best players, and I'm ready to call plays in hostile environments after this press conference.
This time last year, you viewed Nakobe as the top linebacker. Where is he now going into the season, both from an organizational perspective and health-wise?
That's going to be something that's a great that's going to be a great competition to play out. I believe, we added some great guys in free agency and the draft. I'm really excited. I mean, you look at some of the things and, we'll never say, hey, these are the positions we're excited about the battles at. But sometimes Howie and I talk about it man, I can't wait to see that linebacker position. We feel really good about the guys that have been added and the guys that were back from last year, and just so excited to see how that goes. Now, Nakobe came back in great shape, worked his butt off. He said to me yesterday, "Man, are we putting the pads on tomorrow?" When I walked past him, I know he's ready. I know he's ready mentally. I know he's ready physically. I'm excited to see him, and I'm excited to see that position.
I think I broke that rule talking about a couple positions I'm excited about, right? I think for us, we have tremendous confidence in Nakobe. That's why we drafted him. That doesn't change. And sometimes it's because of how much you liked him throughout the process and bringing him here. So we're really excited about him. He's got the right mentality. There's no question in my mind what his contributions were to one of the best defenses in the history of college football. I know that just from watching the tape. I know that from talking to the coaches. And then the opportunity is there. The opportunities at that position, I think, we're excited to see what that brings. Obviously, it's a position that in Philadelphia we understand comes under a little bit more of the microscope, and that's probably warranted.
The last one, Tim. Jalen, what are the key things that you're looking forward to see in his development as a leader as he enters year 5?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be with Jalen now coming on my 4th year. I think he's got tremendous energy, tremendous work ethic. Just like all of us, everything that he feels like he can continue to work on, he will do. This is a guy that obviously has brought us tremendous success since he's been our starting quarterback, has played at a tremendously high level. I have tremendous confidence in him that whatever he has to do to continue being an MVP candidate, he will do.